That's a little edgy. That's a little edgy. I don't know. How edgy is your channel, Tom?
So did you call up Dave Ramsey to ask him if you should buy an RV? So how do you afford to travel? Any advice that you would give to other families that say, it looks like you're living the dream life with your family, we want to do the same thing? What kind of advice would you give them?
So, number one...
So how do you handle your children's schooling? Why did you buy this particular RV? Well, you guys are doing it right. I mean, that's great. Debt-free except for your mortgage? We can't even say that. So are you ever tempted by the new model?
Instead of having a drawer that pulls out, it's like a piano bench style. So you can fit so much more stuff in here from a storage perspective. Yeah. So this is kind of a hack that we do. So these are waterproof crib sheets because we do travel with our cats and our cats are not declawed. You know, we would have problems with it. Like, I think everybody that has had the dual mode absorption style RV fridge that has RV'd in their RV for any length of time will attest to the fact that they end up having problems with it at some point. What it does is it converts this existing fridge to a 12-volt compressor-driven electric fridge.
Wow.
And nobody wants to admit it, but everybody does it. So many storage options when you start to really look at what do you have, especially if you're not afraid to modify things a little.
So what is something you guys want to share with people looking at this lifestyle, or something you haven't shared like on YouTube previously? And have you guys ever had issues with that 10-year rule?
Yeah,
with your RV?
So that's an interesting question.
I'm Tom.
And I'm Cherie.
And we're EnjoyTheJourney.Life. I had the best time chatting with Charity and Ben from Grateful Glamper. So much great advice for both new and experienced RVers. I learned a ton. We're gonna show like 35 RV upgrades, mods, and storage hacks that you're gonna wanna see. Plus they've got great advice on boondocking or dry camping, road schooling your kids, or RVing with friends, paying off debt to enjoy this lifestyle, and so much more. Let's get into it. Well, hey guys, it's great to meet you in person finally.
I know, right?
This is Charity and Ben, or Benjamin, with Grateful Glamper, and we're at the big Florida RV Super Show.
That's where everybody is.
Are you guys excited for this week?
We are super excited.
But we caught you before the show because we are going to get an in-depth tour of your RV and all of the upgrades and organization tips. And I mean, you've really done a lot of work to your RV.
Gosh. It's been 5 years and it's a work in progress, and it seems like something every week, every month that we're tweaking. So
that is awesome. So, well, let's take a look inside. Wow, this has a lot of space. What kind of RV is it?
It does have a lot of space. Okay, so this is a Fleetwood Discovery. It's a 2004 Fleetwood Discovery 39J model. So it's technically 39 and a half feet. Whenever I reserve a campground, I just always say it's 40 feet just because it's close enough. So 40, but it's a 39J, so technically just under 40 feet. And one of the things that I feel like gives this as much space as it does is the opposing slides. So we've got a large slide on the driver's side and a large slide on the passenger side. And so that just really opens up like a lot of this floor space. A lot of RVs where they just have a slide, like Class A's especially, if they have a slide on just one side or the other, you don't get the same amount of floor space that we get in this with the opposing slides literally almost down the whole length of the RV. So that's what gives us a ton of space. And
it's awesome. I mean, you know, it reminds me a little bit of a fifth wheel. because there's been many Class A's that we have been in that did not feel like a lot of room. And a great length. I mean, under 40 feet, you can get into so many campgrounds. That's cool.
We've had that happen with us recently, like here in Florida. Just anybody that's been in the RV world knows, like, Florida in the winter can be challenging, and especially this year because of Hurricane Ian, where you have so many campgrounds that are still essentially offline. And so now there's even less sites than there typically are in the winter here. And so we've kind of found like 40 foot is the magic number. So if you are longer than 40 feet, there's a lot of campgrounds, even like a lot of the 1,000 trail campgrounds that, you know, you can stay at. If you have over 40 feet, there's a ton in Florida that just won't accommodate over.
Right, that's us.
So
it's like, oh, you're 42, 43. Sorry.
Well, if you were 40, it would work. So we actually do feel like 40 is kind of the magic number, where we've been able to stay at, like, we stayed in the national park at the campground in Zion National Park. We stayed inside of a national forest campground right outside of Yellowstone. Like, but 40 was like that magic number where we had just enough space on our site to be able to have the RV. So we definitely wouldn't want anything like larger than what we have lengthwise, because it's perfect. And then it has all the space we need too, so we don't feel like that we're lacking for space at all.
Right, you found the sweet spot. We used to have a little bit under 40 feet, and that was nice. But then we get big toy hauler. It's like, yeah.
Which it really just depends upon your needs, what style of camping that you're doing, full-time part. I mean, there's so many things that factor into what you need to get for you. But yeah. So
I think you already answered this, but why did you buy this particular RV, the year, make, model, all of that?
Yeah, so a couple of things. Our very first RV that we had was a Class A motorhome. We loved the Class A. We loved the feel of the Class A. We loved the travel comfort of a Class A and being able to, just like if somebody needed to use the bathroom while we're going down the road, it wasn't a big ordeal. Like, we didn't have to stop as often for those types of things. But the original Class A that we had was a 32-foot gas engine. And it was very fatiguing to drive, first and foremost. And number two is it didn't have a lot of space where, like, our dinette was converted into a bed for one of our kids. Our other kids slept on the couch. And because that child that was in the dinette, like, that was her personal space, it never got back to a dinette. It just stayed that, and then we didn't have a place to eat. So we just needed something that had more space where we felt like there was dedicated sleeping space for the kids. So originally when we bought this, it had two couches. So it had this couch here, which this is the original couch that was in it when we bought it. And then it had a jackknife sofa that was here. So when the kids were smaller, because they were smaller then, we had one that would sleep on this couch and one that would sleep on this couch. And then we never lost our dinette. And then this dinette, we could talk about that in a few minutes, but this dinette is not the original dinette. So this is a replacement dinette from Rec Pro. And there's some things about this dinette that I absolutely love that I'll show you in a few
Cool.
minutes. So once that the kids started getting older, we realized that they're outgrowing the couches to sleep on the couch and be comfortable. They're outgrowing that. Our son, who is almost 13, is 5'7.5", so he's very tall. He's gonna just continue to get taller. Our daughter's also a very tall girl. So I found this plan. We wanted to put bunks in. And also because when they would sleep on the couches, we did find that because that is, again, like their personal space, they needed an area that they could kind of like have as their personal space. They didn't feel like that they had to like pick up all their stuff all the time during the day and then spread it all out at night. So then we kind of lost like our sitting space again. So we needed something dedicated for sleeping, dedicated for just like hanging out and sitting. So I found this plan for some bunk beds on a website called The Rogue Engineer. And it was actually a set of plans because this particular person was going to a third world country to help with an orphanage. And they needed bunks that they could build for all of these kids, but they could do it with very basic materials and do it very quickly. And so I found a plan essentially to just build bunk beds out of pretty much just 2x4s. And it was a very simple plan. And so that's the plan that I went with. And then I just modified the measurements to fit the space that we had. So we built these from scratch and then painted them. And then the mattresses are just, there's like a twin memory foam mattress that I ordered from Amazon, and I did have to cut it down a little to fit, and I just used like a hot bread knife to slice down the side of the memory foam and then put the cover back over so that the mattresses fit in place. And then they have their sleeping space. And then underneath, when we pack up all of our stuff, I use these bins from IKEA, and they just put all of their clothes or their toys or whatever in here. And then they have covers, and they just fit right underneath of there. And with the zipper covers, because we also travel with our pets, that also just protects their clothes from dust and animal hair and everything else like that. So.
Wow, that's so cool. What would the cost of this upgrade conversion, would you say you invested in that?
Well, here's the funny part. We were talking about this just the other night with some friends, because the price of lumber has gone up so much like recently. So like when we did this was like 2.5-ish years ago. And so we actually, like, we kept tabs on all of our costs. So like all of the lumber, all of the screws, the mattresses, like everything all said and done was around $350. I'm sure right now with the price of lumber it would be a little bit more.
Okay.
But the materials, I mean, the materials in and of themselves, there's not a lot to it. And these are really, really sturdy. And then what we did was, because there was a jackknife sofa that was there bolted to the floor, we did run some 2x4s underneath that are secured to the bunks, and then ran those bolts back down through so that it is secured to the floor, just the same as that jackknife sofa was secured to the floor. Just so that if, you know, God forbid we would have an accident or something like that, this isn't going anywhere. It's very solid and in place.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what did you pay for the RV?
So we paid $40,000 cash. So we don't believe in going to debt for things, especially that are going down in value. So like our cars are paid for, our RV is paid for. Like we don't believe in carrying debt other than like on our home base that does have a mortgage on it, which when we travel on an extended basis, we actually use that as a vacation rental. So if we're not in it, then we're renting it out and making income on it, so that we're not we're not getting double dipped with housing expenses. So if we're at a campground and we're essentially paying for campground, then somebody else is paying our mortgage at that particular point. But if we're staying at our house, then we're paying. And then our RV actually fits on a cement pad right next to the house, and we actually have full hookups at the house. So we can use the RV as a guest house if we ever need to use it as a guest house.
Well, you guys are doing it right. I mean, that's great. Debt-free except for your mortgage. We can't even say that. So are you ever tempted by the new models and things like that? Like, oh, well, you know, this other model and, you know.
It is tempting, especially like here at the RV show. Oh my gosh. Like it's always tempting, right? When you look at all the bells and the whistles and the cool slick things. But the biggest thing that we come back down to is that we really want to prioritize, and we do prioritize experiences over things. And so we just come back to the fact, if we were saddled with a very large payment, would we really be able to afford to go and do the things we want to go do? So like we just came back from a trip to Dry Tortugas National Park, which is not an inexpensive national park to visit, because you have to pay for the ferry, and then you do that times 4, and just the whole ordeal with getting there and everything else, it's expensive. And so we want to be able to go do those things. This last summer, we did our whole summer we spent in the New England area, including some really expensive places like New York City, and we stayed at a campground that was just outside of New York City that is one of the most expensive campgrounds that we've ever stayed at, but it was an amazing experience being that close to New York City and being able to just walk to the subway every day. And we didn't even use our tow car the whole time we were there, because we could just use all of the public transportation. But if we didn't have income and resources available for those things because they were tied up in hefty payments, then we wouldn't be able to have those types of experiences. And that's the whole reason we live this lifestyle, is to be able to go and to do and to see and have those types of experiences.
That is so cool. What a great example that you guys are living your life this way and then sharing that on your YouTube channel. And I think you guys are one of the fastest growing RV living YouTube channels
out there. Great content, great advice. And so how many children do you have?
So we have 2 kids.
Okay.
So they're 11 and almost 13. So our daughter Trinity is 11 and then our son will be 13 in April. So yeah, and then they obviously, I mean, we all travel together as a family, and we have been living the RV lifestyle for the last 5 years with them. And so they've kind of grown up RVing, and it's kind of an unfair advantage that they always have with their friends when their friends are like, you know, talking about going here or there, because we've been to 47 out of the 50 states now as a family together. RVing for us has changed in the last couple of years with the kids, primarily where we have prioritized more with trying to connect with other families on the road. It got kind of lonely for them as they got older. You know, when a kiddo's 11 and 12, it's a little bit harder to just go up to somebody on the playground and say, hey, would you be my friend? Versus when you're like 5 and 6. So like it's a little bit more awkward when they get to that teenage year thing. So now as we travel, we are really intentional with, you know, talking to other travel families, trying to connect with other travel families, making sure that we have connections into our different stops. So this last summer, we put together essentially a big caravan for everybody that's part of what we call our insiders. And we shared that itinerary out, and we just invited anybody and everybody that wanted to come along for any of the stops or the whole trip or whatever. So we had one other couple that came with us the whole time. And then we had several other families that met us at different campgrounds along the way. So it was perfect. The kids always knew, okay, well, when we get to this campground, we're going to have these people that we'll be able to, you know, connect with and have campfires, or, you know, we had people over for breakfast in the morning, and just having that community versus kind of it feeling a little bit more lonely on the road, especially for the kids. So that has shifted now as we travel. And so we're more intentional with when we're planning those trips to plan them in connection with other families.
Super cool. I mean, community is so important on the road, because I know some people talk about being lonely out there, and it's great to have friends in different places to meet up with.
Yeah, absolutely. And for our kids now, like if we would plan a trip and you would ask them, hey, are you looking forward to this trip? And there was going to be no connection with other families, they'd probably be like, I don't want to go. But when they know, okay, like at this stop, we're going to meet up with this family, and then this stop, we're going to connect with this family, and then we're going to all be able to go do this thing together. That's when they're like, yes, I can't wait to leave. So it changes with.
Very cool. And I tell you, Cherie and I are jealous that you guys went to Dry Tortugas. I mean, there's like a several month wait list to get in there. It is pricey. And it's on our bucket list.
Yes, make it happen. Talk a little about some of the mods that we've made in here. So one of the things that we've had a ton of people ask about, and this is actually something because I will occasionally pop into like RV interior design, like Facebook groups where people are remodeling or renovating RVs and just, you know, asking for ideas. So like many RVs, this had a propane stove from the factory, and we weren't a big fan. Like the actual stove oven part, I like hardly ever used, because this is also a microwave convection oven. So I would use like the convection part of this more than like the actual propane oven. So what we did is we installed this as an induction cooktop, and because the propane stove had 2 like counter covers that went over this, we were actually able to install this into the countertop, cut this cover to fit here. And then what we did is we put in where the stove was, this is all now just like a pull-out storage area. So
cool.
Gained so much more storage, and a lot of these drawers aren't super deep anyway. So for things like silverware and stuff, it just never really fit well. Like you couldn't put like a silverware tray in any of these drawers because they're so short and narrow. So this was a great solution to gain a ton more storage by doing this. And because this is not a factory, what we did is after this was first installed, we did have a few issues where when Ben would go around a corner, this would like slide open. So these are actually just like child locks, but you can turn them on and off. Oh. So instead of like having child locks that then every time I open this drawer I have to like disengage the child locks to open it, they have a little knob so you can turn them on so that it will catch and not open like on a travel day. But then you can turn this down and then it kind of essentially turns them off. So I can just open this without any resistance because these are pulled back on to these springs. So that was a perfect kind of just little mod. Or
Where did
whatever.
you find all of that?
So this came from Amazon. This induction in top came from Amazon. And then this rack system actually is, the brand name is Revishelf, and you can find them at like Home Depot and Lowe's. They're on Amazon. Lots of these at Home Depot and Lowe's. And then Stuart from Living Small Dreaming Big, he custom built this front thing, the front face, and then all of the hardware, so like this handle, and all of the hardware on all of the cabinetry, this was all original. So this was all repurposed. This particular handle came off of, we used to have cabinets similar to what's above that couch, above the dinette and the bunks, and we had to remove those with the bunks. So we had some extra hardware that we took off of those that we kept. And so this is one of those handles that we kept, and then we were able to just repurpose that.
And what we'll do is we'll put links to as much of this as we can find possible down below, in case somebody's like, I gotta have that upgrade or hack.
Yes.
So
for sure, for sure.
If you are brand new to Ben and Charity's channel, Grateful Glamper, you can scan this QR code right here with your smartphone to get subscribed. We'll also have a link down below. If you're new to our channel, EnjoyTheJourney.Life, you can scan this QR code right over here to get subscribed. There'll also be a link down below as well. That way you'll get notified when either channel releases a new video. Let's get back into the interview.
And then the other thing we did when we renovated is, so this dinette is actually from Rec Pro. And the one thing I love about this dinette versus like a lot of the factory dinettes is that this particular dinette, for the storage, instead of having a drawer that pulls out, it's like a piano bench style. So you can fit so much more stuff in here from a storage perspective, because when you have a drawer, you lose a certain amount of storage with height and width, and I mean, you don't have the same amount. So because we did have cabinets that were up here that I took down, like we lost some of that, but I actually feel like I gained that back and more with this particular dinette. And then the table's the original factory table, and it does still work to where we can fold it down into a sleeping space if we need to. So the table can drop down and sit on the front of the dinette bench, and then these cushions would sit in the middle. And then, so this is kind of a hack that we do. So these are waterproof crib sheets because we do travel with our cats, and our cats are not declawed. So I wanted something to kind of protect this, because where we put our litter box is we put our litter box just underneath of this dinette. And so these waterproof crib sheets, so they're kind of like extra thick and quilted, so if the cats end up on them with their claws, it's not a big deal. And then these are just like sheet clips from the Dollar Tree, one needs to be reattached, that I put on there then to just kind of keep them in place. So when we sit on the dinette or whatever, because they shift a little with it being leather, that it holds it and keeps it in place. So, and then if they get, as they get dirty or dingy or whatever, I can just pull them off and throw them in the wash and then put them back on. So
what a great hack for pets. And how many pets do you have?
Yeah, we have 3. So we have our dog Alaska, and then our 2 cats, Scrappy and Kit Kat.
Wow, so you have a full RV when you have
RV.
Everybody together.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And last year here at the Super Show, interestingly enough, I have a second cousin who lives here in the Tampa area, and then his parents, my great aunt and my great uncle, were in town visiting from Iowa, and we had everybody over for dinner. So we had all of those people in the RV, had dinner together, plenty of space for everybody. So
cool.
Everybody found a place to sit. One thing that's interesting, I think, to note that I'll share is, so this light fixture here, because we had cabinets here and then there was a light underneath. When we took that out, it made this area pretty dark. So this is just a light fixture from Amazon, just a standard vanity light fixture. And you can use standard like light fixtures in an RV from Home Depot or Amazon or whatever. The key is to use a 12-volt bulb. So these 12-volt bulbs are from Amazon, and so your standard household light fixtures will work if you use the 12-volt bulb. So
that's a great tip.
This is all like the slide trim is all new to just give it a modern, updated look. And probably one of the biggest questions I get on almost every single video that we film in here is people always ask about these. These are from Mix Tiles, and so we like to decorate our RV with pictures of places that we've been and traveled together. So these just stick on, and you can pull them off the wall. It doesn't damage anything. And it's like on a foam board, so they're super lightweight. And you know, weight is always a thing with RVing. Like you're always like worried about my adding much weight or not. This thing's a tank, so, but in general, most of the time when you RV, you have to worry about your weight.
So is that self-adhesive then? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they just pull, there's like an adhesive strip on the back, and it just pulls right off, and then you can stick it back on. So like when we did, so here's another mod that we just did, like this was within the last couple of weeks. So our fridge was the like dual fridge, right? So it was like the dual propane electric absorption style refrigerator from the factory. It's Norcold. And you know, we would have problems with it. Like I think everybody that has had the dual mode absorption style RV fridge that has RV'd in their RV for any length of time will attest to the fact that they end up having problems with it at some point. At some point you end up having problems for all the variety of reasons. And we did all the things. We got the fans on the outside. We put fans on the fins on the inside. I mean, we did all of the things to try to keep it as cool as possible. Our biggest struggle was on travel days when we would have kids that would boredom eat. And so it seemed like every 15 minutes somebody's opening the fridge to grab a snack and closing it. And I would watch that temperature on travel days especially climb into where it's just not really safe for food. So we wanted to do something about that. So what we just recently did is we ordered a new cooling unit from JC Refrigeration. And what it does is it converts this existing fridge to a 12-volt compressor-driven electric fridge.
Wow.
So you use the same case, because that was our other concern, is we could go get a 12-volt, you know, electric fridge, but because this is an 04, is it going to fit in the same spot? And then that's where the extent of our DIY-ness went away. It was like if we have to try to modify the spot that the fridge fits, like any of that was outside of our realm of comfort. So you use the exact same fridge, you pull this out, and you essentially just replace the whole backside cooling unit. And they provided very thorough, just step-by-step instructions with pictures, with arrows. So it made the process really, really easy. And this thing, the fridge or the freezer now is like 0 degrees, and the fridge stays at about 34. It's amazing.
Wow.
Absolutely amazing.
That is great. And yes, Sheree and I have had many issues with the two different RVs and the refrigerator units, and we're getting ready to upgrade to something different. And so what did that save you in having to buy a new one?
Yeah, well, like a new 12-volt fridge that's about this same size are several thousands of dollars. I mean, you're talking $3,000 to $5,000. If you just go get a new cooling unit, like, right, you just go get a new cooling unit from Norcold, you stay with the absorption style, that's another $1,200 or $1,300. The unit from JC Refrigeration costs $1,300, and you get to basically recycle this. So we always like to like repurpose if we can. We don't want to put stuff in the landfill if we can avoid it. So, and it also, the biggest thing though is it made it to where we didn't have to worry about is something else going to fit in the same space.
Right.
Because you're reusing the existing case of the fridge, which there's nothing wrong with. It was just all of the other nuances that go along with that. So nice, ice cold, keeps things cold, keeps things actually like frozen. Love it. But where I was going with that was when I had to pull these mix tiles off to get the fridge out. Super easy to just pull them off and stick them back on, because when we pulled this out, I pulled all of these down so that we didn't mess up the pictures. So, oh, we did gouge. Look, we gouged this.
Yeah. Oh, damn.
Didn't even see that till just now.
Oh no.
It was a boo-boo. But that's another thing about having an RV that's a little bit older. You're like, if you gouge a little something, you're like, oh, it's a bummer. It's not like, oh my gosh.
With a residential fridge, we'd have to take the window out and bring the fridge through the window, right? But having to swap out and convert this to 12 volt is that now, like, everything we have in here is 12 volts. So we're actually converting the fans, the kids' chargers, all the lights are LED. So we're using really very little power. And we're going to show you in a little bit our new lithium setup, which we're really excited about. So now we have the ability to have extended time off the grid, right? So now we can go a week or two, you know, even with the kids, and be off grid, and we love it. So the 12-volt fridge will allow us to do that without, you know, you lose a little bit of power, sometimes 40 or 50% whenever you invert power. So from 120 volts to 12 volts, or I'm sorry, anyways, from
it's like with the household thing.
Yeah.
So like with so a lot of the RV manufacturers that put the residential fridges in, they just take a lot more power, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And then some people do end up with dead batteries, especially if you don't have like a lithium setup or whatever. So the 12 volts definitely the way to go, and how we wanted to go, just to be able to have that, you know, sustained time that we could be off grid or not connected or whatever. Because the other thing too is like, we do enjoy staying like at a Harvest Host or, you know, those types of locations, and those are all, you know, 100% dry camping. And so we wanted to be able to do that without, you know, being concerned about our power usage. I sleep with a fan at night. I mean, we suck a lot of power as a family of 4, so we're not worried about, you know, draining our batteries with having the fridge on 12 volt and lithium too. So.
Sure. Do you prefer dry docking, boondocking over like campgrounds, RV parks?
our name is Grateful Glamper.
Yes,
but-
our channel name is Grateful Glamper. There's that.
But-
Kind of on brand with the full hookups. I mean, so I guess it really just depends upon what the experience is. I feel more comfortable now being able to dry camp. I would love dry camping, and I do like dry camping if it's because like you're able to do it in a place where, you know, maybe you have like an amazing view, or you're like, you know, in a situation where maybe you can, you know, kind of have like 3 other families and you circle the wagons and everybody just, you know, is hanging out for the week and having a fun time and stuff like that. So it depends upon the situation, I guess. Like if we're gonna be where we're going out to explore, I do prefer the full hookups, just mainly because we also do have a washer dryer, and so that way I can keep up with laundry and just kind of the dailiness, and I'm not like worried about, do we have enough water, do we have enough waste tank space, all of that. But I do like boondocking now when it's kind of like for a good cause.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Oh man. We definitely prefer boondocking for the experience, and we don't like to be crammed in, kind of like we are now. Everybody's lined up, and you can hear your neighbor, see your neighbor, everything they're doing. And but yeah, boondocking is where it's at. And but right, when we're working like all the time and not adventuring, yeah, just full hookups is great. Well, how big are your tanks, just for comparison?
Yeah. So our fresh gallon is 86. We have 86 gallons fresh. And then it's 50-50 gray and black. So 50 black, 50 gray, which I think is weird that, you know, Fleetwood on this particular, you know, gave us 86 fresh, but only 50 gray. But what I will do when we're boondocking, I will collect like dishwater in the sink, like when I'm doing dishes like that in the sink, and then I can just, you know, throw it outside if I need to, or I can put it down like the toilet, because again, the black is larger than, or not larger than the gray, but it's equal space. So we do have some things that, you know, I'll do to help conserve that gray tank space especially. And then we got the oxygenic shower head. So that helps to just use less water in the shower as well. So when we're showering, we're not using as much water that way. And then if we're like really, really like having to watch space on things, when we go and we take a shower and we go to like turn on the water and you're waiting for like the water to get hot, I will capture that water in a bucket until it turns hot, and then I'll use that water to wash dishes. And then after I've washed dishes in it, I can use that water to flush the toilet. So you just learn like these little tricks and these hacks of like how to really conserve if you have to conserve.
Great tips. And so if doing all of that, what do you think your boondocking stay limit is?
Yeah, it depends upon if it's just Ben and I or if it's our whole family. If it's our whole family, we're still like 2 to 3 days with the kids showering and everything else. If it's just Ben and I, we've made it like 2 weeks before, just the two of us.
Awesome.
So with
this, did
minimal.
you want to tell them about the solo cup method that got us? No.
Okay. I won't talk about it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that might be a little bit.
That's a little edgy.
Yeah.
That's a little edgy.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. How edgy is your channel, Tom?
I've done extensive video on black tank cleaning. So
here's the really edgy part, and this is like you have to be hardcore boondocker, but we've done it. And that is if you need to conserve black tank space and you're a female and you don't want to go like squat in the woods as a female, if you just take a red Solo cup into the bathroom with you and then you can carry your red Solo cup out into the woods. That's about all I'll say about that.
Okay.
It works to help conserve black tank space.
That's a new trick. I haven't heard of that one, but yeah, there you go.
It works.
So no composting toilet yet for you guys.
No, we don't have a composting toilet. I don't anyway. I know there's some people that love it, and I guess I would have to research more on that. There's just something for me with the composting toilet that I just don't know. I don't know if I can go there yet.
Sure.
I don't know if I'm that hardcore.
Right. Same here. We're I don't think we want to do it either.
Right. There's anyway. So, but let me show you one of the fun things that I think we've got going on back here. So, because this is a 2004, with it being just an older RV, these closet doors were giant mirrors. So a lot of like closet doors in RVs, especially a little bit older ones, that's what it is. And so Stuart painted these over and then just put these kind of like this geometric pattern on it to like dress up the closet doors and make it look more updated. So we repurposed everything that was here, and we didn't have to replace anything or again put more materials into a landfill and give it a nice updated look. And then if you haven't noticed, so like there was a TV here. We don't have any TVs in our RV, Tom.
Oh my gosh. So you don't do a lot of screen time then?
We don't do a ton of screen time. We want to be out and we want to explore and we want to, make connections out in the real world versus making, online connections, which we love those too. And we've made plenty of those. But we really want to be able to connect with people in person. Plus, in this day and age that we live in, you have tablets and iPads and laptops. And if you really want to watch something, there's like no lack of a way to watch it or to consume content. So we can consume content on our phones. If our kids want to watch something on like Disney Plus, we do have a couple streaming services. They can use their phones to consume that type of content. But we just valued the space in our RV and being able to use that space for other things than a TV. So that's what we did. No TVs.
And that's where the TV was,
this
right
is where
there.
Our TV was, yep. So our printer's up here right now. We actually have some more space. I'm like brainstorming what I can do with this space as far as maybe putting some shelving in there or whatever. So I'm still kind of like brainstorming, planning what I can do with that space. And then this is our washer dryer. So this is an all-in-one washer dryer. So it washes and dries. It takes about an hour and a half to run through the entire cycle because it's washing and drying. But the one thing I like about it is I never have to worry about, did I switch that load? Because it does it all. So it's just a one and done deal. And I can actually wash our sheets in here. I just have to wash them one at a time.
Okay, so laundry days can be long days.
They can be. A lot of times what I actually do is I'll do laundry. Like, so if we've been out exploring for the day and then we come home for the evening, I'll start a load of wash like before I start, cooking a meal or whatever like that. And then, so a lot of times by that point, when Ben and I go to bed, it's just on the dry cycle. And so you just kind of hear a hum, which is actually like, I like white noise when I sleep. So it's actually kind of a nice noise to like fall asleep to. It's just the hum of the dryer part going. But yeah, so I don't ever have to use Campground laundromats unless that I need to do something like our actual bedding or something like that, like the quilts for the bedspread or larger blankets or whatever.
And that space for the TV, was that like the old style TVs
it was
before?
The old style TV.
Okay.
Yep.
Big old tube TV.
It did have a big tube TV. And then this actually has like a little latch where this would kind of pull out like at an angle.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so we're still trying to brainstorm.
What an unusual angle, because a flat screen you could have tilted, toward the bed, but
yeah. And we did have a small flat screen that we put in here to replace the old style tube TV when we first bought the RV. but it was one of those things where I wanted the space, and Ben and I were on the fence, and so we came to a compromise, and this is what I asked Ben to do. I said, okay, let's do this for this next like summer travels, right? So it was like 3 months. For the next 3 months, take it out, just put it in the closet, you know, put it in the storage at the house. And if when we come back from this trip, you are like, oh my gosh, I miss that thing so bad, then put it back. But if when we come back, you can't really say that, or you don't feel that way, then we won't put it back. And it never went back.
Well, cool. And like you said, I mean, there's a lot of space to do something else with.
Exactly.
That's very cool. Well, this is pretty roomy for a bedroom. Queen bed?
Queen size bed. Yep. And then
oh, love that back there.
So one of the things when we renovated, like so many RVs have the valances that they take up a lot of wall space. They make things for me feel very just like you're enclosed. And so we took all of those down on all of the windows. And then this is just a roller shade from Home Depot that's cut to fit. So they're very inexpensive, very easy to put up on all the windows, and that's what we have on all the windows in there. But this window here, because it's at the head of the bed, putting a roller shade on it would be one of those things like if we're laying in bed, sleeping at night, reading a book or whatever, you're gonna hit your head on it, you're gonna ruin the shade, all the things. So we're really trying to consider what to do. We did think about, like I've seen where other people actually put like a faux wall, like a piece of paneling. The only thing is that is the emergency exit window back here.
Okay.
So we couldn't close the window off and be safe because this one's not an emergency exit window.
Okay.
So what we did is we found this window film on Amazon, and so we covered it with that. So you still have the light that comes in and is filtered, but you can't see in or out of it. And then like at night, if it is bright, or if we're, in a campground, or if we're lot docking or something like that, we just have a piece of Reflectix that we cut to fit that space that we can put in there to block out any light, so that you don't have the light coming in. But it was a perfect solution because we don't really need to like see out that window or anything like that either. And it looks nice.
Right, that's just the film you said from Amazon.
It's just, so literally to apply it, you just use some soapy water and then like a credit card or whatever to apply it. So really easy.
And since you don't have credit card debt, you've got plenty of those.
Yeah,
no worries.
I've actually cut most of those up, but anyway. And then we use that same window film. There's a small window over the sink in the kitchen that we did the same thing on because it had like these little metal mini blinds that all they did was, make noise as you're driving down the road. And anyway, so we did that same window film on that small little window that's over the kitchen sink as well, because you can't even see out of it, but it's nice to have the light. So
okay, and it looks like you've got some other little hacks to create more space here as well.
So one of the things that we've done, so this little box is from Hobby Lobby, and then this one is like from Amazon. And so 3/4 inch screws, you can use a 3/4 inch screw in most RV walls and you're still safe from like electrical and things like that. If you're not comfortable putting a screw in your RV wall, we've used an adhesive called nano tape, or just any other kind of like mounting tape you can use that a lot of the nano tape will hold like up to 5 pounds. This little box that I found from Hobby Lobby, I have the same one like on my side of the bed that I've got there, that way I can put my phone in it at night, or just whatever else. And then interestingly enough, these are the same ones from Hobby Lobby, and they fit perfectly in this little recessed space. There were like these glass shelves on here, and I'm like, who in the world's gonna put a glass shelf for knickknacks in your RV, especially because when this slide comes in, it covers this, and I could just see things falling off and then getting wedged in the slide, and I just thought that was the worst idea ever. But this, when you put something in there, because it's got this, then it's not gonna like fall out or whatever. And it fit perfect. It was like
score
meant to be or something.
Yeah,
exactly. And then so some things that we're using in the closet, which the closet's not super full right now, but these types of hanging organizers are so great to get stuff up off of the floor, and you can put stuff in there. This was one of my latest finds that I absolutely love, where you can put a ton of tank tops on one hanger. And so now you're just using the space you'd use in your closet for one hanger for all of these shirts versus having them on an individual hanger.
That's a great hack.
So I absolutely love this little doohickey that I found on Amazon there. So lots of just different things that we've got in the closet. The one thing that's a little bit different about our closet when it comes to organization that we have to be cognizant of when it's, because it's a diesel pusher, is our engine is back here. And so if we do need a repair, like we have a couple times, this floor comes out for engine access. And so that means everything that's in here has to come out.
Okay.
And so we don't want to put anything in here that's a little bit more permanent in the sense of like putting, like mounting shelves to the wall or putting things in here that are super cumbersome to move around, because we always want to make sure that if for some reason this needs to be accessed, it can be accessed fairly simply and easily. So that's also why we kind of have this little dresser thing, because it's super lightweight, it's plastic, it's really easy to move in and out, it's not heavy, so we can move that out if we have to. So that is one little nuance with the diesel pusher that you always have to kind of think about. So
yeah, interesting. Yeah, not familiar with stuff like that.
Yeah, yep. And it's all great until that they were like, oh, we need you to move everything out of your closet, and you're like, get right on that.
And this is interesting. You've got a sink, or is it the sink, the bathroom sink?
No. So I'll
okay.
show you real fast in the bathroom. So there's an extra sink here, which we love with the kids because we do only have one bathroom then for the 4 of us. But this actually helps immensely when it comes to just like brushing teeth or washing hands, or, you know, like I wear contacts, so I need a sink to be able to, you know, put my contacts in the morning and stuff like that. So really helps to have that extra like sink that's not the kitchen sink versus the bathroom sink.
Okay.
And then here in the bathroom, door's stuck. There we go. Okay. So in here, this had cabinets, and we took those cabinets off because I didn't like them. And so these are, again, boxes from Hobby Lobby. This rack system is from IKEA, and I love this because literally when we have a travel day and we need to like pack down, I don't have to do anything in here.
Right.
Nothing is on the counter. Everything's all up off of the counter. And so nothing has to change from the time that we pull into a campsite and set up or we pull out of a campsite. It all just stays the same in here. So toothbrushes and toothpaste, deodorants, just all your, you know, toiletries and stuff like that all fits in these boxes or in these containers right here. So
yeah, Cherie would love that. The beach fixes everything.
Totally. Totally right there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's a nice size bathroom.
Yeah, and then we put in the Max Air fans. So the fan here and in there, they're the Max Air fans. We got these from eTrailer. Those have been absolutely great. And then the toilet, we also upgraded the toilet. So this is like the porcelain one from eTrailer. So that was an eTrailer upgrade as well. And then painted in here. So, but yeah.
Okay, cool.
Made it look better than the drab RV manufacturer brown and tan with the border across the middle and
right.
all the typical stuff like that. But,
do you find yourself wondering, like, who designed this?
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
We need more actual RVers working in the RV manufacturing companies so they can be like,
or at least consulting.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, why don't we go ask some people that are like doing this day in and day out or living in this? You know, it's interesting. I talked with an RV rep from one of the manufacturers, I won't say which one, last year at the show, and I just asked, like, do you have an RV? Have you been RVing? No, never owned an RV. But yeah, he worked for one of the, if I said the name, you would know, a major RV manufacturers. And I'm like thinking, why?
Why?
They should make you at least go do it for a week so that you kind of have a better feel for, you know, what it is that people want or need or could use. But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
So right there with you on that.
So shower kind of across from the bathroom.
And we do like that. It might be a smidge dirty. But we do like that because that way, again, if somebody is in the bathroom or needing to use the bathroom, it doesn't take up, like, well, now nobody else can shower. So having those separate is nice with a family just because, you know, people can be doing multiple things at the same time. So we do like how that setup is on this particular
Right, so
rig.
water saver shower head there.
Yep, the oxygenic shower head.
Okay.
Which love that. And now the interesting thing about that is that when we first, so after we installed that and we first boondocked after we installed that, like whenever we would boondock before in our other shower head and we would use the water pump, right, to pump the water to shower, the water pressure was always very poor using the water pump versus when you're hooked up to city water. With this, I noticed zero difference with the water pressure with the oxygenics when we were boondocking using the water pump versus when we were hooked up to city water. So it does a great job of not only saving water, but like pressurizing the water as it's coming out of the shower heads, where you feel like you've got amazing water pressure, even if you don't have the best water pressure. So I love it for that just alone, plus of course all the other benefits. So
okay, well,
yeah.
We actually found the other day that we were in the shower and the kids would go and, you know, flush the toilet or wash their hands while you're in the shower, and it'd be like, oh, but we didn't notice that.
That doesn't happen with the oxygenics.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which was something that we didn't even know that was going to be a benefit, and it ended up being a benefit. And so we were like, oh, ooh.
Side benefit.
Right. Another reason to get one.
Yeah. This used to be a big CRT TV area.
Oh, okay.
So now we use it as like a technology. They put the camera and all the gear, plugins, chargers, you know, everything in here. So.
Okay.
And then, this used to be a huge TV, and on the way home from picking up the rig, the TV was shaking. Like on the way home, I thought this whole thing was gonna fall out. So we had Stuart from Living Small, Dreaming Big help us with this and some of the painting, which we'll show you in a little bit, and then the wood trim on the slides. But I love this. For me, being able to organize my stuff right here in one place so it's not scattered all around, driving Charity crazy.
Yeah,
so.
and then you want to show him the other mod that we have with the thermostat is the upgraded micro air thermostat.
I love this. I love technology, but this has been the most simple and useful upgrade that we've made so far. So right here it's called a micro air thermostat. And so what it allows you to do is to be able to control the temperature from your smartphone. So basically, right from my iPhone, I can turn up and down the temperature. If we're back in the bed, Charity's like, I'm hot. Can you turn up the AC? I don't have to get up out of bed. So I can be lazy. And two, it always gets updates. So I can do firmware updates. It connects to Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. So if we're out and about, like at the Tampa Super Show, and say our dog was in here last year when we came, we can check and get alerts if the temperature drops, or we can get an alert on our phone and we can adjust it. So if it's getting hot in here, we can actually turn it down remotely and not have to come back.
Can you put that on most RVs? Or?
Yeah, you could. They have them for most.
The wonderful thing about this upgrade, it was 100% like plug and play. Even though we have like an older rig, it was literally like unplug the old one and plug that one back in.
Yeah.
It was so super simple. So,
yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
Love it.
And with your camera gear right there, right by the door, it's a grab and go, right?
Yep.
It is a grab and go. And yeah, so many times too, you know, I mean, it's just like we've gotten more used to, you know, the longer that we have done the content creation thing, we've gotten more used to the fact of just like, you know, if something happens, because stuff goes wrong. I mean, that's just part of this lifestyle, is something is going to go wrong. We've been towed twice, you know, with breakdowns. It's interesting. Just, I mean, stuff happens on the road and you have to deal with it on the fly. But that's actually another reason that we love this lifestyle, is because we feel like that this is a great learning opportunity for us as a family with our kids, that we're going to face adversity in life. We're going to have things that don't go according to plan. We're going to have things that disrupt our plans. And how do we handle those things? How do we approach those things? Do we let those things get us mad? Do our emotions go all over the place? Am I saying things in a tone that's going to hurt those that are around me just because I'm letting the emotion take over? Or am I going to choose to face this in a way that is going to help move us all forward and still maintain connections in the midst of the adversity. And so even when we face problems that aren't fun, we always just still view that now as just a learning opportunity to grow ourselves, but also to show our kids and hopefully equip them to become very productive adults in life versus just one more dysfunctional adult out in the world. So.
Yeah, that is such a great learning lesson. I love that. That, you know, your children need to experience some adversity or see you go through it, handle it in a great way, and they can learn from that. But I'm also thinking that isn't some of the best places, your best experiences have probably been because you stopped because of a breakdown, right?
Right.
Unplanned.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we had one time that we broke down outside of Rapid City, South Dakota. And we actually just viewed that as a great blessing because Ben's dad lives in Rapid City. And so we just really viewed that as, you know what, there is just a reason that we needed to spend these extra 3 or 4 days with, you know, Grandpa. Like there's a reason for everything. And even though that meant that we didn't get to go to Grand Tetons like we had our reservations to, it was okay. We spent more time with Grandpa. We had some downtime and then we continued on, which our next stop after that was Yellowstone. So it was a little hiccup, but there's always a reason that things happen, and that's just how we view it.
That is so funny because going out first time in the RV, going out first time in the RV, our old Columbus RV broke down in the same area, spent 7 weeks there getting the truck fixed. That was, but it was such a cool area. So, but yeah, that, and like you've probably heard, if you're going to get into this lifestyle, you're gonna have challenges, whether it's a older used RV or
even new ones still break down.
Right. I mean, you're actually sometimes better buying used because it's had work and upgrades and battle tested, so to speak. So yeah, and you've got it paid off. So if you've got your repairs here and there, it's like, well, you've got the money for it. And so how do you afford to travel?
So we work remotely. So we are content creators. So we're creating content for our own channel, but we also do produce content for clients now as well. So if somebody comes to us and they say, hey, I'd like a video made about this particular subject, or, you know, I need a video for our YouTube channel, or I need a video for our website or whatever, then we also do video production for clients as well as producing content then for Grateful Glamper, our own channel.
And how many videos do you typically put out a week on your channel?
For a while, we were putting out 2 a week. We go to just 1 a week at the moment because that's about all that we have the bandwidth to be able to put out. So we put out videos weekly on Sundays, and then we put out some short form content too on YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels, TikTok throughout the week. But we do our long form, our longer videos on our YouTube channel on Sundays. Okay,
awesome. And like I joke with other YouTube creators, content creators, that I think the platforms are trying to kill us. It was like, oh, we want more shorts.
We want more. Give us more.
Right? You don't need to sleep, do you?
No, right. You just want to video your whole entire life all the time. Just get your phone out.
So, yeah, we've cut back too. And, I mean, because that constant content... And then the quality starts to go down, and
it does,
and your health and everything.
So we really try to we try to condense a lot of what we do. As far as, you know, we'll have a day where we'll, you know, film multiple videos in one day, or, you know, we'll say, okay, today's an off day, especially with our kids, because our kids love being in the videos sometimes, and sometimes they don't. And so we never want that to be a thing where we're forcing our children to do something that they don't want to do, or to be a part of something that they don't want to be a part of. So we usually try in our travels and things like that to kind of have just like a video free day. Like I might take some content with my phone that is more for like shorter form, like Instagram Reels or a YouTube short, but we're not going to necessarily put all of that into a longer vlog type of video, just because we really want to protect kind of some of that downtime as well, so we don't get burnt out.
So how do you handle your children's schooling?
Yeah, so for us, what we have found works best is that homeschooling is not really a good solution for our family. We have one kiddo that would do great with homeschooling, and then we have another kiddo that would do not great with homeschooling at all. So we have found a school in the state of Florida, and kind of this particular school's motto is one school, many options, which works great for our family. So they do offer kind of like a homeschool umbrella program. They offer an online virtual program, and they offer an in-person program. So our kids go in person when we were at our home base. They do have the option to go online when we are traveling, if we travel when they still are like in school, so during the school year. We do try to schedule a lot of our travel around their breaks. And this particular school is a very firm believer in letting kids be kids, and that some of the great learning happens outside of the four walls of a classroom. So they have a ton of breaks during the year for extended periods of time. So that gives us a lot of time to be able to still travel during the school year without them having to worry about catching up on any work or do any work online. They can do work online if they need to, but it gives them what they need as far as being able to kind of be around other kids and have a little bit more of a traditional school experience as well as a road school experience, which we are huge on the road school experience because we feel like it enhances their classroom experience when, for instance, they're learning about the Civil War and they're learning about the battle at Gettysburg. It is way different when you're reading about that in school, when you've been there and you've seen all of the monuments and you've seen the battlefield and you understand like what happened there. It's a totally different scenario that then helps them engage in that classroom setting. So we really believe that this complements each other to where it's not like a this or that. It's really just a combined experience, and that seems to work really well for our family.
Wow, you guys might have the perfect solution. I mean, it's usually they're on the road all the time, and you're homeschooling, but to have the combination with the classroom as well, you've got the best mix. I mean, they still get to socialize with their friends. They got new friends on the road, and wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, we really feel like we have the best of both worlds. Like, we feel like it's a good balance where we kind of have this ebb and flow for us for RV life, and that has really helped to keep our kids from getting burnt out on RV life as well, is to kind of have that little bit of an ebb and a flow where, you know, we have some time that we're at our home base, things are a little bit more just solid and solidified, but then we also, you know, love to go travel and experience and explore new places, and yeah, just that balance.
And what would you say the mix is to how much at home and how much on the road?
Now, see, that's where it varies. It's varied so much over the years, and I'm sure it will continue to vary depending upon our kids' interests and their season of life, because we want to just make sure that as they're coming into the teenage years, that we are making sure that we're cognizant of what it is that keeps them healthy people and to grow up into healthy adults, versus maybe what Ben and I would just, you know, we would just be like, screw it all, let's just go and you can deal with it, and that's not what we want to do to our kids. So we try to make sure that, okay, so what is it that they want to do? Like right now they're both heavily involved in sports. So making sure that, okay, well, let's work around those schedules. Other times when it's like maybe they haven't been as heavily involved in things, it's like we'll be out for 60% of the year and home for 40% of the year. So kind of ebbs and flows. I'm sure as they come into the teenage years, it'll ebb and flow more. But I mean, we're not far away. I mean, we're only 6 or 7 years from being empty nesters. And so life will shift at that point, and Ben and I will have a little bit more options where it's just the two of us, but we want to do the right thing for our family now so that we are still a family unit intact later.
That's awesome. Yeah, it sounds like you've really perfected the planning of great travels, great adventures, but also, you know, what's in the best interest for your kids.
It works for us. And I think, you know, every family's different. Every family situation is different. Every child is different. You know, kids, adults, everybody has different temperaments, different personalities. So you have to really go with what is the best fit for your family, your kids, and knowing what that is as their parents, and then just moving forward with that.
Okay. Any advice that you would give to other families that say, it looks like you're living the dream life with your family, we want to do the same thing? What kind of advice would you give them?
So number one, like, it is living the dream, but it's also, there's dailiness that's in the dream, right? I mean, there's the day-to-day, there's the things that happen, you know, we really do feel 100% blessed and so grateful to be living this lifestyle. Number one is I would do anything and everything that you can to get out of debt. If you can be debt free when you embark on this lifestyle, or, you know, minimal debt, the better, because the other thing is that you want to have a pretty decent savings. Things like breakdowns, like this is a diesel pusher, and so we kind of, you know, joke around, if you have like a gas engine RV and you take it in, they're like, that'll be $500, and you take this in and you're like, that's $5,000.
Right.
So, you know, having a decent amount of savings in an emergency fund, because it can get expensive, especially with repairs. If you have a tire that blows, or, you know, just whatever, you don't want to have that then turn into something where now you're going into more debt. And then just being able to minimize. So we live a very minimalistic lifestyle. So even though we do have a home base, so to speak, we don't, like, it's not full, it's not, it's very minimal, to where literally when we come into the RV and we essentially move into the RV and move out of our house, when we rent it out as a vacation rental, it's really easy to just bring all of our clothes with us, because we don't have a ton, because we live very minimalistically. And again, that gives us more resources to be able to go and do and see more, as we're not buying the kids a crap ton of toys every Christmas. You know, I mean, they get 4 or 5 things each Christmas, because we're not going to just fill our house with more and more stuff. We want to prioritize those experiences. So being able to live that way, being able to downsize now, minimize now, you know, go through all of your things now and minimize, and make sure that, you know, minimalism and living minimalistically is something that you're okay with.
Did you follow a particular plan for getting out of debt?
Yeah, so Dave Ramsey, if you've heard of the Dave Ramsey, or the Ramsey organization, so was very instrumental. So I actually read his book, The Total Money Makeover, when Ben and I were still dating, and we implemented a lot of his processes and things like that back then, which really, it set us up for success, because that was before we had kids. So, you know, once that we even started having kids, you know, we didn't have debt then, and we've just chosen to not go back into debt after that. But it opened things up, because it actually enabled me to stay at home with our kids when they were young. Our kids are 18 months apart. So having 2 toddlers in daycare and me working made no financial sense, but we would not have been able to do that had we not been debt-free, other than our mortgage, for me to be able to stay at home with a good savings in place. And that was because we implemented a lot of those things back then, and then we've just continued down that path.
So did you call up Dave Ramsey to ask him if you should buy an RV?
I did not. You know, it's interesting. I listen to the Dave Ramsey show all the time, and I've heard things. Like I've heard him say different
famously
things.
Like does not encourage people to buy RVs.
Yes.
Especially if you're going to go into debt, he'll say no.
Yeah.
Nope,
if you're going to go into
debt, 100%. Yeah. It's like the one thing that he does say that he talks about is not having more things with motors and wheels, essentially. So like toys, cars, things like that. That the value of those things don't equal more than half of what your annual income is, because then you have too many assets that are going down in value. And so we have stuck with that principle, to where the sum total, like the Jeep that's sitting out there is a very old Jeep. You know, the sum total of all of those types of things don't equal more than half of our annual income. So this, I feel like if I did call Dave, this would probably definitely fit within his parameters of what he teaches, as far as we pay cash for it. We don't have, you know, any other debt other than our mortgage, and the sum total of all of our vehicles don't equal more than half our annual income.
Okay. So for a slightly different perspective, I'm going to link to I'm Calling BS on Dave Ramsey's advice video. We actually filmed at Sunshine Key down in the Florida Keys, because I thought, well, if it's living your dream to be in an RV and travel, that, you know, that kind of debt, kind of like your experiences over things, was a good debt, you know, and of course balanced with everything else. No credit card debt is really great. And so I guess there's different opinions on that, but we like to get people's opinions. What do you think, debt or no debt for your RV? Comment down below. We'll see how many comments we can get.
There you go.
But most people, again, if you can do debt free, do it. If you cannot, do it still. So, but just manage your money, right?
Right. You don't want to you don't want the RV dream to become the RV nightmare, because you're so over leveraged with payments that then now you can't afford to go and do the things or afford to put fuel in it. Right now, it's expensive to put fuel in this thing.
And we've heard stories. There's people now that are having to turn in their RVs. They can't keep up the payments. And
that's what you don't want to have happen, is you don't want the RV dream to become the RV nightmare.
Absolutely not. So what would be one of your biggest challenges you've dealt with on the road?
I mean, we've had several different challenges. I mean, obviously, experiencing breakdowns, needing a tow truck. I mean, all of those things are challenges in and of themselves. I think probably like one of our biggest challenges, though, still has just been figuring out like what is the best travel pace for us. And sometimes having like longer travel days than what we would really probably consider ideal, but just because we don't want to stop, like just for the sense of stopping either. It's like if one destination is, say, maybe 6 or 7 hours from our ultimate destination, we're not always like, well, let's just stop for the night just for the sake of stopping for the night. It's like, let's just get there. But I do feel like every time that we do that, it's like we're exhausted. The kids are bouncing off of the walls. Like, it's just not always like the best thing. So I still think that we're trying to figure that out as far as like what is the best pace, what's the best plan, going from like place to place. And so that can just be a challenge in and of itself, is figuring out that whole thing as far as like what's the best pace and how do we handle all of that planning.
Well, what's the best experience you guys have had on the road?
Oh my gosh, there's been so many. The best experience. That's a question that you should really ask our kids sometimes, because I just love the answers that they give. Probably one of our best experiences has been like camping in the National Forest in Yellowstone, because it was so quiet, and at night it was so like dark that the stars were so incredibly bright, because you're way out in the middle of like literally you're way out in the middle of nowhere. There's no light pollution. Just absolutely, breathtaking and gorgeous. So it's probably been like one of the highlights for us is been being able to do that. And then another one that was just absolutely amazing was we found a campground that was right on Flagler Beach that literally backed to the beach. And when we would go to bed at night, we could hear, even through the RV walls, the waves crashing on the beach at night. And it was just one of those things where you literally, that week felt so relaxing, because we literally just would walk back behind the RV and we would hang out on the beach all day and then come back in. It was pretty cool.
Was that the state park that's there?
It's not the state park, actually.
Okay.
So it's a private campground. It's now called, what is it called now? It was called Flagler by the Sea. Now it's called, what's it called? They renamed it, but there's only 11 sites. It's a very small campground, and it is tight. Like, we had a back-in site, and when Ben went to back-in, it was funny because it's like, one of those things, like, everybody comes to watch. It's like all these people started to come out to like watch, is he gonna make it? And he backed it in like on the first time, and like all of these people that were watching, like they started like golf clapping, like, because he like just backed it in like a boss.
Right. Those of you that don't RV yet, you got to realize when you're not watching TV, you're out at these campsites, and that's the free entertainment, is watching
it's
people
watching everybody, back in. Yeah.
And how many tries or how angry the couple gets at each other for, it's a bad direction, this way, that way.
Yes.
So
we've seen the whole gamut of that. And it's funny because I think it's like an unspoken thing. Like everybody does it. Like you see somebody new come in and everybody like peeks out their window, like, let's see how well this guy does or doesn't do. And nobody wants to admit it, but everybody does it.
So you guys have quite a RV roof upgrade that you've done.
Yes. So this last spring, we took the RV to RVroof.com, and they have a couple locations now throughout the U.S. The one we took it to was in Green Cove Springs, Florida.
It's their main branch.
Yeah. What they basically do is they replace the roof with like a spray-on roof. So it's not something that's like rolled on, painted on.
It's thick.
This is like a legit spray on, almost like a bed liner for your whole entire roof. They have a guarantee against any water leaks, a lifetime warranty against any water leaks.
Transferable lifetime warranty.
Right. So if we ever do sell this rig, that's transferable to whoever then is the new owner of this rig.
And it's not sponsored. We
No,
just
it's
love it
not.
so much. We paid $7,000 for the whole roof.
Wow.
It was expensive, but
Yeah.
we plan on keeping this for a while.
Yeah, and they charge by the foot. So like if you had a shorter length RV, it obviously wouldn't be that expensive. But they were telling us too, because they were booked up 6 months in advance. So when I made the appointment, it was 6 months out from the time that we could actually get the RV in. They have a lot of people that like they'll buy a new RV, and before they even go use it, like that's the first thing that they do is they take it into them, and they have that spray on roof put on just to protect their RV from any like water damage or anything like that in the future. Because unfortunately these things bend, they flex, especially if you don't have covered parking, they're sitting in the sun, they're weathering, there's so many things. And you never have to worry about roof maintenance again either, in the sense of scraping off all the old decor and putting down new decor over all of the skylights and the vents and everything like that in the future. So it's basically a maintenance-free roof moving forward as well. So that was definitely something we liked.
That's really cool. So you would recommend that for every
100%.
RVer? Okay.
100%. It's not the cheapest thing, but in the long run, I mean, if you end up with water damage, get a lot more expensive trying to fix that versus preventing it. So
cool.
Yeah.
Any other upgrades in here? Anything else we missed?
One little hack that we did here, show them about this.
Oh, you want to show them?
Well, okay, so the thing is, we try to make use of any wasted space. So this is where our vents come out, and there's really nothing under there. And so what we did is we actually put this on a hinge so we could pull this out.
Oh, wow.
And so now all of this, like I put in these little storage bins that I get from Home Depot, and you know, I put my hotspots, and you know, we use Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. Got a little bit of everything.
Gotta have your backups.
Redundancy.
But now
Yes.
we've got a ton of space. We put some Reflectix in there, and then we can fit several bins in there, and it can get out of Charity's way. She's happy. I'm happy. Everybody's happy.
Well, and before this, like this front piece was just like one solid like board, and because it really wasn't meant to do anything other than like if you needed to access under there for some reason, like if you needed to repair a heating vent or something, that you could still have the access to get under there. But it really wasn't designed to be a storage space, which in my opinion was stupid, because there's so much space. Why not utilize the space?
Yeah.
So eventually, because this is the original couch, it's a 2004. It is coming apart, here and there. What we would like to do is have somebody do kind of like a custom build bench. So where we would be able to put a custom build bench, put, some foam and cushions on the top, but have that bench be kind of piano bench style, where we could still lift it up. It'll have to be a custom build because we need the vents at the front to be able to, get the heater and stuff like that when we need the heat. But that's kind of another plan that we have, and something we'd like to get done in the future is kind of modifying and making this a little bit more custom. But again, thinking about like storage, so many storage options when you start to really look at what do you have, especially if you're not afraid to modify things a little.
Well, I mean, that's the thing about RV manufacturers. They don't necessarily make it for people that are full-time or trying to be super efficient with space. And you can discover places like that, and it's one of the things when I think of your channel, you guys are like the leaders of organizing and gadgets from Walmart or IKEA or something like that, because I mean you've really like well organized this and to find spare space like that. That's really cool.
Yeah, we kind of like sometimes we like call them RV secrets, you know, because it's like these little secret spots that the manufacturer didn't intend for that to be used in that way. But it's like, why not, right? Like even like with the bunks and then like the jackknife sofa that was here, there was a similar dead space that was like underneath it. So why not use that for storage? Why not store things, you know, kind of out and under the way? And like even like where our driver's chair is, like Ben puts like some bins right next to there because it's like, you know, all these little nooks and crannies. Why not use it?
And the thing about the benefit of a Class A is one that it doesn't have payload issues. So when we moved from our
not like
Colorado home base
do
to
usually.
here, we actually carried everything that we wanted to keep in the RV. Like we filled up the shower. We just brought everything and we sold the rest. And we were able to move down here without getting, you know, one of those storage
like a pod
trailer or a pod or anything.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to check and make sure we were still, you know, within the weight limit. So we stopped by the cat scale, and we still had, you know, quite a bit.
We could have added
spare.
another 500 pounds.
So you don't have any, you know,
And
payload
it was loaded
issues.
to the gills.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people do ask, like, when we put in this bunk, right, to replace the couch, like, how was the weight, right? We redid the floors as well, and we actually ended up being lighter than what we had because the couch had a metal frame in it,
and the cabinets, like there was cabinets all down this slide, and so those were really heavy, and all of those came out. This dinette is 10 times
much
lighter than what was there. I mean, literally, it comes in 2 pieces, and I could carry each piece in by myself. Like without any help. It's that lightweight. And so that is a question we get a lot with all of the renovations we've done. Well, what about, you know, how much weight did you add? We actually like added back less weight than what was there before.
Not that we have a problem being a
not that we have a weight problem.
That's really cool.
Right? There's a joke there.
So what is something you guys want to share with people looking at this lifestyle, or something you haven't shared like on YouTube previously?
What haven't we shared?
Something about you guys, or another tip, secret?
We've shared quite a bit on YouTube. You know, one of the things we probably actually haven't shared it on YouTube at all is that you're a childhood cancer survivor.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's kind of an interesting fact.
Yeah, I had lymphoblastic lymphoma, and they had to, you know, cut into my neck and put a Broviac to where they administered radiation or chemotherapy, and and I survived. So I'm a cancer survivor. So
wow. And how old were you?
I was 5.
He was a kiddo.
Wow.
Cancer. Yeah, I don't think we've ever shared that on our channel before.
No.
So there is something.
Wow.
Never before seen footage right there.
Well, thank you for sharing that, guys. And I guess we should head outside.
Yes, let's show you some of the stuff we got going on out there.
Awesome.
So a couple of things that are kind of, I guess, a little bit unique about our RV is our sticker collection on our slide. So we actually started trading stickers with other RVers when we very first started RVing about 5 years ago. And we connected with a lot of RVers mainly through Instagram, because we would connect with people in like campgrounds and stuff too, but we just really started connecting with other RVers online to start with. And so we would swap stickers. So I would mail them one of our stickers and they would mail us one of their stickers back. And so we now have all of these stickers of people that we have traded over the years, and the whole other side of this slide is full as well. And so now I'm working on our driver's slide and putting all of our sticker trades there. And then we have something really cool. So a lot of people will put like a travel map, and we do the same thing and just, you know, put a sticker up for each state as we've been in that state. But I've got something fun that I'll show you that we do in addition to the map that is kind of a unique, fun thing. And that is, we will put a sticker up for each new national park that we have visited.
Oh, cool.
So, I don't know that we're going to hit all the national parks, because some of them in Alaska are pretty dang remote. But we want to hit as many national parks as we can. one of the things with the kids that we always do too when we visit the national parks is they always do the Junior Ranger program. So they can collect their Junior Ranger badge. So that's kind of like their little memento from the national park is their Junior Ranger badge. And then we'll put up a new sticker for each national park that we've been to. So this is our national park collection and then our travel map of where that we've been. So yeah, we added Dry Tortuga.
Arkansas has a hole in it. I mean, or we have a hole right here in Arkansas.
You're not racing off to Arkansas, huh?
Don't ask me how that's
We're gonna have to do it.
It just has. And people always comment, Arkansas is gorgeous. And I'm sure that it is. It's just in all of our travel plans and our routes and everything, it just never took us that direction. So.
Well, you know what's funny about Arkansas is that's actually where Cherie and I first went.
Oh, really?
In the RV.
That was your first state?
Yeah, she had to
It's going to be our last state.
She had to get specialized therapy, so we spent like 10 weeks in Arkansas. Yeah, that's funny.
A couple things that we've done too on the outside is just because it is a 2004 and it is like just older. We put in new headlights. So these actually, when we ordered these online, these actually would belong to, is it a Ford F-250, Ben?
Yeah.
So these would belong to, yeah, so they're the same headlights that would be like for a Ford F-250, so they really weren't super, super expensive. But it actually makes it look a lot newer than it is because they're not like the cloudy, foggy headlights, and then put in those fog lights as well.
Yeah, they were bad. Like now they're super bright going down the road. And they're LED, so
Oh, wow.
the nice thing is it uses very little power. Those are LED fog lights, are very bright. So
because we have found ourselves, like, especially driving through like the mountains in Arizona, or you know, other places where it's more remote, it's very dark because there's just not a lot of, you know, lights in some of those areas. And we try to not drive at night, but especially, you know, in this time of year, it gets dark so dang early that you are probably going to find yourself driving at night. So we just wanted to make sure that we could see clearly and be safe and all that stuff. So.
And have you guys ever had issues with that 10-year rule?
Yeah,
with your RV?
So that's an interesting question. We have never had an issue with that. We did stay at one campground once that they didn't tell me it was going to be an issue, but I was looking at their website and noticed that they had the 10-year rule listed in their rules somewhere. So I just proactively reached out to them and said, hey, I just want to make sure this is okay. Here's a picture of our RV. I have all the maintenance records if you would want to take a look at them. And she emailed me back. She's like, oh no, you guys are good. Yeah. So, I mean, it really comes down to people just don't want a potential hazard. You know, I mean, there's some RVs that just are not in the best repair. And so as long as you keep your RV in good shape, you know, you keep the maintenance up on it, and most often if you just send them a picture, make sure it's a current picture, or even just like a little video clip and just say, hey, this is our rig, you know, most of the time they don't have an issue with it, especially if you're not planning on staying like for months and months at a time, if it's just, you know, a week here or whatever. The one thing I like about our Class A too is that there's so many storage compartments.
Yes, love the storage.
All kinds of storage.
So we keep, we have 4 paddle boards in here.
Oh, wow.
So those are all 4 paddle boards. And then these are all the life jackets. So the life jackets are in here. This is another IKEA find. I love this particular storage bag from IKEA. So all of our life jackets are in there. And paddle boards there. And this is just one, storage compartment, right?
Up and down.
So they're not inflatable, they're actual regular paddle boards.
No, those are inflatable. There's 4 of them.
Oh,
There's
okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. Those are inflatable.
Oh, okay.
They're rolled up.
Okay.
Yep. And that way we've got one for each kid. We used to have 2 paddle boards, and now that the kids are getting older, it turned into like this thing of everybody just needs to be on their own. Everybody will be happier.
Sure.
Everybody's on their own paddle board.
More stickers.
Yeah, so that's where I'm working now. So
Okay.
now anybody we trade with is going on that side of that slide.
We've done some major upgrades here. So we put in 4 100 amp hour BattleBorn lithium batteries, and had this basement compartment modded to be able to support them, and then also give us room with some brackets to grow, to add 2 additionals. So we actually at home we have 2 more that we're going to stack up here, so we'll have a total of 600 amp hours of lithium. And then I finally convinced Charity to go solar. So
Okay.
My biggest thing was still I was concerned about holes in the roof,
yeah.
but learning more and researching more, and then being able to get, once we do put those brackets in, the RV roof will spray back over those brackets, so I know we won't have issues with leaks or anything.
Yep.
Totally good with that. So solar will be coming soon this year.
Yep. And then we also put in a Xantrex inverter charger. So this is a 3,000 watt inverter charger, and it's a sine wave as well. So, but this thing has Bluetooth capability, so we can see, you know, what it, what the amps are at. And we also put in a Victron LIBIM or LIBIM. People call it different things, but that's all Bluetooth as well. So we can, what it'll allow it to do is allow the alternator to charge the batteries, because the lithium batteries are really will take as much power as you give it. So if we weren't to have that in place, it would burn out our alternator. So what that does is basically it slows down the charge to the lithium batteries while we're going down the road. But the cool thing is our alternator charges, keeps them topped off as we're driving down the road, no problem.
So when you add your last couple of batteries, that's about 800 amp hours?
It'll be 600 because we've got 4
okay.
100s and we're adding 2 more 100s.
Okay.
So then we'll have 600.
These two are for the
engine.
engine.
To turn the
Okay.
engine over. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
So that's what those are for. And then this cord here, this is that you see here, that's our Starlink cable.
Yeah. So what I did is I brought the Starlink cable right up through the back
Closet.
And siliconed it so it's completely sealed. So all I have to do is basically, this is a nice little hack here, is I just pull this out and unwrap it, and then connect up my, oh, this is a cool mod, come check this out. So what I do is I got this flagpole buddy. So it's a pole that you put the Starlink up on. So I actually put the Starlink up on the pole, connect it up, and then just put it up right here. And so it's above the RV, and if there's any trees or cars around, you don't have any issues that with that. So we love that, having that flagpole buddy. It keeps it up. I don't have to get up on top of the RV to mount it or anything. So
that's cool.
That.
And how much solar are you guys planning to put on the top?
As much as will fit.
As
much as will fit.
So yeah, oh yeah, I'm super excited about that.
I think Ben's got some notes as far as because we've measured out the panels. We're gonna get the solar panels through Xantrex, so he's kind of mapped out exactly how much we can fit up there, but it will be a lot. So our next big kind of test once we put in the solar is we are going to be at the RV Unplugged rally in May, and it's a boondocking rally. So we'll be boondocking again for a week, and so that'll kind of be a fun just test to see how well that works, if we will have to use our generator or not, because we do have the onboard diesel generator we can use if we need to, but we'll see if maybe we can get by the whole time without the generator at all with the solar. So
yeah.
Do you have how many panels?
Well,
cool.
So I went up there and measured the panels. Basically, I should be able to fit about 16 up on the roof of the 160 watt panels. So there's a lot of real estate.
16.
Yeah, so I have 2560 watts on here for
2,560.
2,560.
Do the math.
Yeah.
Everybody that's a math major right
Yeah.
now will be telling us if we're right or wrong.
So one question I forgot to ask is, how do you guys use Thousand Trails to save money on the road?
So when we very first started, we didn't have a Thousand Trails membership because our very first several trips out were not in areas where there were Thousand Trails campgrounds, and we just didn't feel like it was going to be worth it during those first couple of years, knowing kind of where we wanted to go, somewhat of where our trip routes were. But then when we moved our home base to Florida and we knew we were going to be camping more in the Florida area, I started re-looking at it. and got the zone pass for the southeast zone, so it includes Florida and some of the other southern states, and we use Thousand Trails a ton now, and it has saved so much money. I mean, it's paid for itself over and over and over again. And so, you know, if RVing is in your future something that you're looking at, take a look at like what is your travel style going to be, like what areas of the country are you going to be in, and see if Thousand Trails makes sense. Because in like the Midwest area of the US, there's not a lot of Thousand Trails campgrounds. But if you see yourself, you know, spending time in the southern states in the winter, or, you know, being on the East Coast or the West Coast or the Pacific Northwest, then having a Thousand Trails membership probably makes a lot of sense. So just have to kind of look at where you think you're going to be, what's your camping style. But for us, now it totally makes sense and has saved us a ton of money.
Cool. Any other memberships that you guys recommend?
Yeah. So for a while, I did have the KOA membership, just because you like got discounts, but you also earn back like points. And so what I would do is I would stay or book us a night at a KOA, like say a KOA Journey, where they're less expensive. It's more of just like a, let's stay for one night. So I've got the full hookups to do a load of laundry or whatever, and then we're moving on. And then I would like bank those points that I would earn staying in those types of KOAs for maybe when I wanted to book us for a little bit of a splurge at say like a KOA holiday where they had more amenities and, you know, there's pools or the kids could go do fun things, but the price tag was also higher. So then I could use some of those points that I would rack up for with those other stays for the like higher end KOAs. So this is the first year that I didn't renew that, because with Thousand Trails, we're staying more at Thousand Trails parks. So again, as you approach this lifestyle, as you look at it, you just kind of have to, you know, look and see, okay, what is going to work best for us? Where do we see ourselves being? Where do we see ourselves staying most often? We also have a Passport America, and we also do have a Good Sam membership as well. With Good Sam, we have that not only for the discounts on campgrounds, but for towing coverage, because our insurance on this has towing, but it caps out at a certain dollar amount, which we found out the hard way the first time we ever had to get towed. And that wasn't fun. So I added the Good Sam because it was a very inexpensive like roadside plan that included towing, unlimited mileage. It just tows you to the nearest service center. But if that nearest service center is 100 miles away, this is a heavy duty tow. It's the same tow that essentially if they have to tow a semi truck, that's what they come get you with. So it gets expensive even if you just have an 8-mile tow, and I didn't want that to happen. So we carry a Good Sam for the discount, but also for roadside.
Well, Ben and Charity, thank you so much for sharing your RV life story with us and the viewers. And I mean, you've got, such amazing inspiration for others that want to get on the road. And gosh, we will link to all of your social media down below, plus some of your videos that you want to share. And yeah, follow these guys if you want more great tips like this. And you are definitely, one of the few to watch, in this crowded universe of RV channels out here. So we really appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for taking the tour. Come in to check us out.
Yeah, and for our next video and more tours, you can check them out right over here.